Carnival Celebration is Carnival Cruise Line's newest and biggest ship to date. We just returned from the inaugural cruise to Miami, Florida, and share all the details about this brand new mega ship and our exclusive Carnival Celebration cruise review up next. Welcome aboard, cruisers. I'm DB from Eat, Sleep, Cruise, where we help you see the world one part at a time with our exclusive cruise reviews, ship tours, and tons of cruise planning advice. Now, the wife and I have been on over 60 cruises, and we're big mega ship enthusiasts. So we've sailed on the largest ships in the world, from cruise lines like Royal Caribbean, Norwegian Cruise Line, and Celebrity Cruises, among others. So of course, we had to get on board Carnival Celebration, Carnival Cruise Line's newest ship to date, to test out this brand new vessel. And in this review, we're going to tell you what we liked about Carnival Celebration, where the ship was just okay, and where Carnival Celebration fell short for us. And we're going to start one area where we thought Carnival Celebration really shined, and that's with the casual dining. When it comes to casual dining, Carnival Cruise Line does laps around the competition. The variety of options, food preparation and flavor, and atmosphere of the venues on Carnival Celebration are intertwined to the ship's different zones. Guy's Burger Joint remains one of the best takeout burger joints at sea. On Carnival Celebration, this venue has been enhanced with more seating and a larger counter for quicker service. Another one of our favorite spots on the ship was the Blue Iguana Cantina. In the morning, the burritos are among my favorite breakfast option on any cruise ship. At lunchtime, you can get burritos and taco options that include chicken, steak, or shrimp with custom toppings, and of course, the salsa bar. Not too far away on deck 16, in the afternoons, street eats served up small bites, with options like loaded french fries, dumplings, pad thai, or chicken sautés. These plates are just the right size for a quick snack, especially after spending a long day ashore at a port of call. Aft on deck 16 is Shaq's Big Chicken. This venue debuted on Mardi Gras, Carnival Celebration's sister ship, and has been a smash hit ever since. With addictive crispy chicken sandwiches and chicken tenders, now we know why. Throughout the 6 days on board, we made several stops here. Down on deck 8 in the 820 Biscayne zone is the Miami Slice Pizzeria. While it's not the best pizza at sea, it features 5 different options and remains open until the wee morning hours for late night snacks. I definitely thought the pizza here was better than the competition like Royal Caribbean or Norwegian Cruise Line, but it didn't necessarily rise to the likes of Princess Cruises or Virgin Voyages. Right next door is a Deco Deli, which features 12 different sandwiches and is open most of the day. On deck 6, you'll find the Java Blue Cafe, which serves up some grab-and-go bites during different times of day. In the morning, you'll find breakfast sandwich and continental items like breakfast pastries, while in the afternoon, you'll find things such as sandwiches, chicken pies, and empanadas. Now you notice we didn't mention the Lido Marketplace. Yes, Carnival Celebration does have your typical cruise ship buffet, but honestly, we're not big fans of buffets, and with so many other options on the ship, we actually never ate in the cruise ship buffet. Another area we really liked on Carnival Celebration was the sports deck, deck 18 all the way after the ship. Carnival Cruise Line is a family-centered cruise line, so of course the sports deck offers a variety of activities that are suitable for all ages. Of course, the main attraction here is the Upcharge Bolt. This electric roller coaster at sea is $15 for 2 continuous laps around the track. While it's a little pricey, we did enjoy this activity. One tip we have is to get into the front car, because the front car actually goes faster than the back car on the track. In addition, if you're cruising with multiple people, you are able to go on the ride by yourself. So Heidi and I went separately so we could get pictures and videos of each of us riding the Bolt. But there are plenty of other attractions on the sports deck that are complimentary. All the way aft on this deck is a 9-hole mini golf course. Honestly, I did expect more theming and creative elements, more like say Royal Caribbean's mini golf courses. Yet the little kids didn't seem to mind the lack of more advanced features, and of course the 9 holes we played were still fun. Now I'm not going to let you know who won, but let's just say my wife wasn't happy. Nearby the mini golf course is the Carnival Waterworks. This water park is home to several attractions for little kids, as well as a few slides for us big kids. The 3 more adult slides include the face-forward mat slide, Blue Lightning, a drop slide called the Orange Crush, and then finally the Twister, which was more of a traditional body slide, similar to slides you might have on, say, Royal Caribbean. I rode each slide twice on one sea day, and surprisingly the water park was never overly busy, so there wasn't long waits for the rides. And my favorite was definitely the mat slide. For those without a fear of heights, the rope course is suspended over Deck 18. For cruisers who have cruised on the Vista class, I would say the rope course here is about the same size, even though the ship is much larger than those class of ships. There are several options to make the challenge easy or hard, so this certainly has a replay potential. The course even includes a zip line and a beam that extends over the edge of the ship, similar to the plank on NCL's rope course. The sports deck also had other staples like a full-length basketball court and games such as foosball and bago. Additionally, crammed into this deck is the jogging track. It takes 7 laps around the track to equal 1 mile. If you plan to use this track for a walk or run, be on the lookout for others strolling along, as well as some daybeds lining the path. It can get quite crowded. And honestly, I would expect the jogging track to be a little bit wider on a ship of this size. Another way that Carnival Celebration really wowed us was with the service. Given it was a Thanksgiving week, and one of the first sailings on the new ship, we were concerned that the service might suffer. But we're happy to report that this was not the case at all. The service throughout the ship was friendly and efficient. In fact, the service on Carnival Celebration was better than some of our more recent cruises on premium cruise lines. It started with our stateroom attendant, Alvy. Even though our embarkation was delayed, he made it a point to introduce himself on day 1. He was always visible in the hallways, and he took good care of our stateroom, even though our schedule was anything but predictable on this trip. At the bars and lounges, a variety of servers were quick to strike up a conversation. Nicola in the Jubilee bar liked to joke while showing off his mastery bartending skills, and other bartenders were equally eager to add some flair while mixing up cocktails. Many of the bars and lounges did not have waitstaff, so cruisers did need to order at the bars itself. Still, the wait times were pretty minimal. Tootie at the Java Blue Cafe made my multiple trips to this coffee shop a pleasure. She always had a big smile on her face and knew my name and order by the 3rd morning. For dinner, we had Your Time Dining. Each evening, we joined a virtual queue at one of the restaurants, and we never waited more than 10 minutes to get our table assignment. Even though we didn't have the same waitstaff, service was always on point. Food was served at the appropriate temperatures, and each course was well paced, with most meals taking about 60 to 75 minutes. This gave us plenty of time to enjoy the evening entertainment around the ship. Further, a big shout out to Cruise Director Lee and the rest of the fun squad for doing a fabulous job keeping the energy up all cruise. Lee was an excellent host for the game shows like Family Feud and Love and Marriage. He was very visible throughout the ship and always willing to say hi or take a selfie. We've noticed lately on a lot of our cruises that it seems to be less common for the cruise directors to be out and about. So bravo to Carnival for keeping this important element of the cruising experience intact. Another thing we really liked about Carnival Celebration was the pool decks. Like other new mega ships, say Norwegian Prima, Carnival Celebration has several smaller pool areas to disperse the crowds. The main pool is Deck 16, the beach pool. This central Lido pool is a lively space with music, afternoon sing-alongs, and other fun squad events. Nearby are several outdoor eateries and the 2-story Red Frog Tiki Bar. While the busiest, you could find deck chairs on the Deck 17 Sun Deck, or, of course, chairs near the pool if you're up early enough. For something a bit more quiet, there's a Tides pool aft on Deck 16. This infinity pool and adjacent whirlpools offer unparalleled ocean views. Not to mention, they're closely located nearby the Lido Marketplace, Shaq's Big Chicken, and the Tides Pool Bar. While smaller, again, this pool area never seemed too busy throughout the day. You'll find a similar setup on the patio on Deck 8, which features an infinity pool and 2 nearby whirlpools. This area is a little bit smaller and tighter with less sun loungers, but you can find seating on both the port side and starboard side Ocean Promenade on Deck 8. Here, cruisers are only steps away from the watering hole bar and a short walk inside to the deli and Miami Slice, as well as Guy's Pig and Acre Smokehouse Brewhouse. While none of these areas were too busy, we tend to spend our time outside at Serenity on Deck 18. This adults-only area encompasses a large space, in fact one of the largest adults-only areas at sea. This forward sun deck features a variety of loungers, chairs, day beds, and other seating options. Thus, we never had issues all week finding a seat. There's also a small pool, a bar, and the Fresh Creation Salad Bar conveniently located in the center of this 18+ space. While we didn't really see it as necessary, lastly, cruisers can upgrade to the Loft 19. This sun deck is all the way forward on Deck 19. This private space offers cabanas, whirlpools, and dedicated staff. Shockingly though, even on sea days, none of the pools felt overcrowded during this holiday week sailing. Another thing that really impressed us about Carnival Celebration were the onboard activities. Our 6-night cruise had 3 ports of call and 2 full sea days. Throughout the entire day, the fun squad was out with a full lineup of classic cruise activities. There were things like several dance classes, including the jam-packed Thriller dance class in the Havana Club. Not to mention, there were a variety of trivia and games. There were trivia sessions focused on music, sports, and general knowledge, with several sessions each day. There were other organized activities too, including things like bingo, and game shows like Majority Rules, Walk the Plank, and even Flip Cup. But the cruise line did scatter these events throughout the ship. They were held in different places like the Limelight Lounge, the Havana Club, or the Summer Landing. While we didn't participate in many events, we couldn't help but enjoy all the fun just watching these different activities. There are karaoke sets featured during the afternoon and the evenings on several days of the cruise. Occurring at either the Limelight Lounge or the Havana Club, cruisers could show off their vocal cords while the admiring spectators sang along. Further, there was live music scattered throughout the ship during the day and the evening. There were 2 featured guitarists, Paul and Reggie, which seemed to rotate between the Deck 6 Latitudes Bar and the Deck 6 Golden Jubilee Bar, as did the Quaro String Trio. In the Piano 88 and Golden Jubilee bars, you could find Oscar or Eden tickling the ivories. The Backyard Band belted out country and rock music at the Deck 8 Summer Landing. And the Havana Club on Deck 8 was jam-packed with Mambo Magic playing Latin hits most night of the cruise. Along with live music, Carnival Celebration also showcased several comedians. In fact, there were 5 different comedians offering several sets in the Punchliner Comedy Club and the Limelight Lounge. On multiple nights, there were adult-only comedy shows in the main theater as well. Other game shows included Family Feud, Deal or No Deal, and Cash Bash. Here, cruisers could compete for real cash prizes. Finally, there were deck parties on the Lido, movies on the big screen, and the new Evolution Dance Party, as well as plenty of other options to keep cruisers busy day and night. Honestly, we had a hard time trying to fit everything in to just 6 days. Another thing we really liked about Carnival Celebration was the diversity of onboard activities both during the day and during the evenings. Now, there was a lot of things we did enjoy about our Carnival Celebration cruise, but there were a few things where Carnival Celebration was pretty typical or just average in our opinion. And one area where the ship was just blah was the staterooms. We stayed in stateroom 10426. This portside cabin was only a few steps from the midship elevators and a short walk or elevator ride to most of the public venues. According to the Carnival Cruise Line website, the stateroom is 205 square feet with a 44 square foot balcony. Immediately upon entering the room, the bathroom was to the right and the closets were to the left. In all fairness, the closets offered plenty of storage, with plenty of shelves and hangers on the clothesline. Continuing past the bathroom and closet, the desk was to the left and the love seat was to the right. Both furnishings were a good size, and the desk had enough counter space to double as my office and the wife's makeup area during the week. Above the desk were 2 shelves for additional storage for my gear. The bed in our balcony cabin on Carnival Celebration was on the forward wall facing aft, and located right next to the balcony door. While there were USBs next to the bed, we were surprised in lack of power outlets throughout the cabin. There was only one area on the desk. Further, near the beds, there were these small little shelves, not nightstands, which honestly were a little difficult to put things like your cell phone or other gear on during the week. Overall, the cabin felt just on par with the competition in terms of size, though the decor and furnishings were rather plain and basic. The same could be said about the bathroom. It was very tight and lacked counter space and storage. Surprisingly though, our balcony felt much larger than the advertised size. It might have been due to our location, as Deck 10 includes additional rail space when compared to the decks above it. The balcony was deep, with plenty of room for our 2 chairs and a small table. So overall, the stateroom met our needs, but there's nothing special or unique about it. The same could be said about the bars and lounges on Celebration. There are over a dozen bars on Carnival Celebration, and many of them do include signature drink menus. Although, you might notice that some of the menus have different names, but are essentially serving the same drinks. Further, the drinks tend to be more Caribbean-inspired than they are craft cocktails. Thus, you won't find many bourbon or whiskey-based beverages here. One of our favorite Carnival bars is the Alchemy Bar. Located on Deck 7, overlooking the gateway, the mixologists here craft up signature cocktails. The Sidecar and 40 is the new 20 cocktails were a perfect fit for us. Below this venue on Deck 6 is a new Latitudes Bar, serving up an international menu. Here you can listen to a guitarist or string trio while you sip one of the 20 globally inspired offerings. But again, many of these drinks are pretty standard across bars both on land and on other cruise lines. Still, some of our go-tos here were the Old Fashioned, the Sazerac, and of course, the wife's favorite, Cosmopolitan. Bar 820 on Deck 8 captures the vibrance and diversity of Miami. With tropical ingredients and neon lights, the venue features Cuban culadas, classic specialty coffees, and cafecitos. It's a great spot for a pre or post-dinner drink after heading to one of the nearby specialty restaurants. Craft beer and fresh drafts are on tap at Guy's Pig and Anchor Smokehouse Brewhouse, aft on Deck 8. Not to mention the venue has regular live rock and country music. New to Carnival Celebration is the Golden Jubilee Bar. This retro cocktail menu is reminiscent of the classic style of cruising that was popular during the early 20th century. It was actually one of the bars we frequented the most. Scattered throughout this port side Deck 6 venue are some historic artifacts from Carnival Cruise Line's 50 years of sailing. Many of the other bars found on Carnival Celebration are familiar favorites for those who cruise quite often on Carnival Cruise Lines. There's the Latin-inspired Havana Club, shaking things up with a themed menu and live music most nights of the cruise. There's a Heroes Tribute Bar, paying homage to those who have served in the armed forces, although this lounge is basically a small cutout section of Guy's Pig and Anchor Smokehouse Brewhouse. Piano 88 blends live piano music with a variety of drinks each evening, and cruisers can also order up cocktails at the Punchliner Comedy Club and Limelight Lounge. Outdoors, there's a 2-story Red Frog Tiki Bar, which serves a rum-based tiki-inspired menu. Other outdoor bars include the Tides Bar on Deck 16 and the Watering Hole on Deck 8, located right next to the pools and whirlpools, as well as the Serenity Bar featuring sangrias on Deck 18. While not the most inspiring lineup, needless to say, we didn't have any issues using our 15 drinks on the Carnival Cheers drink package during this cruise. While we enjoyed many aspects of our Carnival Celebration cruise, there were a few areas where the cruise ship really let us down. Chief among them was the main theater entertainment. For this cruise review, we made it a point to see every single show. During the 6 nights, there were 4 signature shows. 2 were featured in the main theater, the Grand Spectrum Theater on Deck 6, and the other 2 were presented on center stage, in the Celebration Central Zone on Deck 6, 7, 8. Honestly, many of these shows felt like shows you would see on a cruise ship that was 10 years old, and didn't really compare to the spectacles and Broadway caliber shows you see on other megaships from Royal Caribbean or Norwegian Cruise Line. In the main theater, the Playlist Productions cast presented More Cubano and Calamari World. Each production occurred on 2 different evenings with a total of 3 showtimes. Amor Cubano was a typical cruise ship review show. Featuring classic and contemporary Latin music, this production fell short when compared to the great entertainment offerings on other cruise lines. Color My World was a little bit better. The show had a bit more narrative, the song selection was more in our jukebox, and it incorporated some modern digital elements to help the story come to life. Still, it didn't compare to the performances on our recent Celebrity Beyond cruise, which had a very similar show. In the Celebration Central, Center Stage is home to the more dynamic productions. These included 2 performances of Celestial Strings and The Most Magnificent Circus. Heidi and I enjoyed these shows more than the theater productions. Featuring a different cast, these shows included more props, aerialists, and unique elements for a more immersive experience. These shows were more in line with the baseline shows you would find on other cruise lines. Celestial Strings takes the audience on a journey through the seasons, while The Most Magnificent Circus is an intriguing variety show with magic, dancers, acrobats, and singers. The latter was my favorite of all 4 shows. We like the idea of Celebration Central, but the space is not ideal for shows. There's not much seating near the stage, and there are several areas that have obstructed views. Not to mention, it's almost impossible to find a seat there unless you show up 45 minutes before showtime. So make sure to show up extremely early if you even want a chance at securing some prime seats. And perhaps the biggest letdown on our Carnival Celebration cruise was the main dining room and specialty dining. With Your Time Dining, cruisers use the Carnival Hub app to join a virtual queue at either the Festivale main dining room, Chibang, or Cucina del Capitano. We entered a virtual queue to reserve a table whenever we were hungry for dinner. The app gives you an estimated wait time, and in our experience, the wait times were fairly accurate, and we never waited more than 10 minutes for a table when we dined around 6 p.m. on most evenings. We dined in the main dining room twice, Chibang once, and Cucina del Capitano once, and unfortunately, we were not impressed with any of our visits. We dined in the main dining room for the first time during the cruise line's first elegant night. While the lobster tail was pretty typical, the prime rib was dry and tough. Our second attempt at the MDR was Thanksgiving. The meal of this night was very disappointing and did not compare to the Thanksgiving meal we had on Oasis of the Seas previous year. The apps and desserts at the main dining room were on par with other cruise lines, but nothing really impressed us except the cruise line's signature chocolate melting cake. Currently, Carnival Cruise Line has broadened the options for complimentary dining on its Excel class ships. On our sailing, both Chibang and Cucina del Capitano were complimentary. The meals here were better than the main dining room, but neither of them were at the caliber of a specialty restaurant on other cruise lines. So hopefully, the cruise line doesn't start charging for these venues. Chibang is a mix of Asian and Mexican cuisine. Heidi and I enjoyed the food here, but given the basic offerings, an upcharge for this venue doesn't seem appropriate, as the food here was slightly better than the street eats food offerings you could get during the day for snacks. Likewise, the Italian cuisine at Cucina del Capitano was freshly prepared and more flavorful than the main dining room, yet it doesn't even compare to specialty venues like Onda on NCL or Giovanni's Italian Kitchen on Royal Caribbean. Overall, the trend of subpar main dining room food quality across the board in 2022 continued on our Carnival Celebration cruise. Similarly, we were not impressed with the specialty dining on the ship. For this cruise, we dined at 2 specialty restaurants for dinner and 1 for lunch. Pre-cruise, we made reservations at the steakhouse Fahrenheit 555 and Rudy's Sea Grill. While both these meals were better than the main dining room, the restaurants had rather simple menus and lackluster food preparation, especially when compared to other cruise lines, steakhouses, and seafood restaurants. The Fahrenheit 555 steakhouse offered classic cuts and sides, although the food here did not rise to the level of other steakhouses on brands like Princess Cruises or Celebrity Cruises. My filet mignon was properly seared to a medium rare temperature. It was lightly seasoned, and I had no complaints about the portion or the flavor, though the pork belly, tuna tartare, and French onion soup were not all that flavorful. Heidi's chicken dish and the sides were very basic as well. My dessert was better than expected. The apple tart had a slightly sweet filling that complemented the vanilla ice cream and flaky crust. Likewise, the menu at Rudy's Sea Grill was not very inventive either, especially when compared to Rudy's restaurant on Holland America Line. My fried calamari appetizer was hot and crispy, but not as flavorful as I would have expected. The raw oysters were uninspiring as well. Although my crab stuffed lobster tail imperial was far superior to the lobster tail served in the main dining room. This entree was more akin to a meal you would get at a specialty restaurant on other cruise lines. I also enjoyed the apple cheesecake dessert. Given the price tag, food quality, and availability of other complimentary options on the ship, we would probably skip specialty dining on future Excel class ships. We also tried lunch at Emerald's Bistro. I had high hopes for this venue, and sadly, it did not live up to my expectations. The a la carte menu here featured New Orleans specialties, but the 2 menu items I ordered were nothing like their counterparts on land. The fried oysters had a thick, heavy batter and were no better than the main dining room option. The shrimp po' boy was similarly disappointing, although the beignets were a light, airy, and sugary exception, and well worth the upcharge. Now, if you're not sure if Carnival Celebration is right for your next cruise vacation, why not check out our recent review for the world's largest cruise ship, Wonder of the Seas. In that cruise review, we cover it all, from the dining to the entertainment, bars and lounges, onboard activities, and more. We detail what it's like sailing on the world's largest cruise ship, Royal Caribbean's Wonder of the Seas, to help you decide if that ship's right for your next cruise vacation.